You might have noticed there was a tannery right there. A tannery is where you make leather out of skins. And has anyone ever visited a tannery before? You have? Do you have any words to describe the smell of the tannery? Strong, yes. You know, I've heard it's quite vile, to be honest, the tannery. Doesn't smell very nice. Does anyone know any of the ingredients used in tanning leather, historically? Urine is one of them, absolutely. Feces is another. So pee and poo, my point is, you can only imagine the stink coming from that building right there, 24 hours a day. Now I welcome you all to the bakehouse directly next door. This is where the fresh bread was made on a daily basis. 4 convict bakers slept right there in that room. This was a preparation area. And at the back, that's a lovely example of a Suffolk parish oven built by convicts 200 years ago. Let me tell you how they made it. You see those vertical bricks in the arched entrance? Yeah. Bear in mind, the entire roof of the oven is laid with vertical bricks in a massive dome-shaped wall-to-wall, and none of them are held together with mortar. It was too hot, so they were all built onto a bed of sand. Once all the bricks are in place, they pulled out the bed of sand. The bricks dropped ever so slightly, because they were shaped to be a bit thinner at the bottom than they were at the top. So they dropped ever so slightly, locked together, and just with gravity, they've remained locked together for 200 years. Quite an impressive building. That building was efficient enough to bake 400 loaves of bread in one go with just one burn of wood, and it dried out hue and pine timbers on the second story as well in 6 months. So a very useful building. Convicts didn't complain too much about the bread. It was baked fresh every day, and alternatively, they were offered salted beef or pork as a source of protein. Beef or pork doesn't sound too bad, but the beef and pork on Sarah Island was distinctly green and slimy because it's been in a barrel for several months at sea before getting here, if it ever arrived, that is. Most of the convicts were on half rations, the diet was awful, so they did whatever they could to collect their own wildlife to eat from the surrounding harbour area. If they caught something like a wallaby, they would have been quite lucky. They could have shared the meat with their friends. And then let's not forget there's a tannery to make use of the skin. It was forbidden for them to give the skin to the tannery themselves, so they had to find a dodgy military officer to trade it with instead, and this is where Major Champ came in, who I mentioned at the house over there. See, Major Champ set up the illegal contraband trade of Sarah Island on account of the poor diet. He was receiving skins from the convicts, giving them contraband in return, things they weren't supposed to have, like rum and tea and tobacco and sugar, and then he was selling the skins to the tannery for his own profit. Do you mind just taking them? Thank you. No. He was making a lot of money, by the way, and he wasn't just taking skins, he was taking handcrafted goods that were made from the local timbers as well, so he could sell them in Hobart. He was quite the entrepreneur, but it was all very naughty and he shouldn't have been doing it. Eventually, he was way too open in his trading, he became quite greedy and he started stealing, and he was kicked off the island by the commissariat. So this was quite a shameful dismissal for Major Champ, a major of his status, removed from this tiny little convict island. Don't worry about him though. 20 years later, Major Champ was back in a new job. He was actually the first state premier of Tasmania. If you look at history books, so he turned to politics in the end and he did all right. Before we go around this corner, I'll tell you, this was the administration area of Sarah Island. You can see the housing there of the convict clerks. They worked with Thomas Lampriere very meticulously to keep meticulous records on everything that happened on this island, so I can give you accurate statistics today, and you can access them through Libraries Task. So just touching on those statistics, I'll give you puzzle number 3. Right, in 1828, 198 convicts received 8,004 lashes, still very high. In 1829, just 30 convicts received 800 lashes. So that's a 90% drop in the punishment rate in the space of 1 year. And funnily enough, it's the same year people stopped trying to escape. All right, so that's puzzle number 3. Why such a steep drop in punishments? We'll just go down a very short hill there, and I can show you the only sandstone building on Sarah Island. Go right to the bottom.